Let's go.
Thank you so much for being here. We had a great turnout. My name is Michael Ferraro. I'm a real estate agent with Compass here in Greenwich, Connecticut, and this is the Luxury Interior Designer panel. And I am so excited to do this panel. We've been planning it for some time. It is not an easy thing, but the biggest thing that I get asked the question of is, well, why do you do these things? Why do you put these panels together? And my biggest response to that is I want to work with the best in the real estate industry. And not everybody in real estate is a developer or a builder or an architect. There's also great people in interior design. And in that world, we've provided you guys with some of the 4 of the best that we have in the business right now. And instead of reading about them in a magazine or looking at some of their work, we actually get to hear them live and in person and actually see some of their work on the big screen. So I want to give a round of applause for everybody who came out, for you guys, and for interior designers here today. And none of this stuff happens without the people that I have to say thank you to. And first and foremost, I want to say thank you to Jerica Contos. Where are you, Jerica? Jerica is my director of operations. Since she's been a part of this, the level that we've taken this has been incredible, and she does so much work behind the scenes. For people who've ever planned an event, especially at a single family home, there's a lot that goes into this. So thank you again so much, Jerica. I want to thank Shelly, Tretter, Lynch. Shelly has been an absolute mentor to me, a friend, a co-agent. She is one of the best agents in Greenwich. This is her listing, and I want to thank you again so much for...
No, I'm happy to.
Thank you, and I want to let her take a couple seconds to talk about the actual house that we own, which is actually for sale. So I'll let you take it.
Thank you. It's so nice to have all of you here, and what a great panel to have. It's fantastic. You go through these properties and not experience how people would really live in them. So it's nice to have 90 people in this room. It's the double living room, by the way. But the house has been on. It was built by Hogue's, custom home, and they've been here it was built in 2005, and they moved in 2006. So you have 13,500 square feet, and this is a great back view of the property. It's all south facing, so there's light throughout the entire day and a beautiful sunset. There's also a separate cottage with a separate entry and another garage area. So I'm not going to give you all the details now, because if you're interested, you can talk to me later or grab a brochure, and I'll give you a personal tour. But thank you for coming, and enjoy the panel tonight.
Thank you, Shelly. Let's give Shelly a round of applause. You want to sit down here right in the front row if you want. Okay. I want to thank Klar Windows and Doors. Paul is the man. Thank you so much for being here. They are the best in high-end European windows and doors. I want you to check out their showroom in Norwalk, and on the panels you see all their information. Check them out on social media as well. I want to thank Mark. Where's Mark? Mark from Vanish Media. This incredible system that we have here, this is all Mark, and I want to give Mark some time at the end to talk about it. If anybody here is interested in this system that we have here, he's the man to talk to after it all. So thank you again, Mark, for providing us with the system tonight. Really appreciate that. Advanced Home Audio, Bill, is he here? Where's Bill? There's Bill. Advanced Home Audio is amazing. Incredible lighting, audio, and home automation system, making everything in the smart home world happen. Bill is the man. Thank you so much. Stage to show. Is Lisa here? Where's Lisa? Lisa. Oh, Lisa's back there. She's in the rafters back there. But Lisa did all the staging on the property. Stage to Show, again, one of the best staging companies in the business. Chris Pagliaro is architects. He's not here tonight, but he sends his well wishes. He is an amazing architect. We'll put up his social media stuff as well. Interstate Lumber, Danny and Brian, are you here? There you go. Interstate Lumber, 5 locations, including one in Greenwich. They supply all the materials to build all these amazing homes. Interstate Lumber. Ornare, where is Mulaney? There she is. I have an amazing relationship with Ornare. People have come to my events before. We've had them at her showroom in Greenwich. It's phenomenal. Custom kitchens, closets. Ornare, one of the best. Make sure you speak to her about that. Tomas might not be in the room, but if you anybody here try the spirits, the quiver spirits? Yes. Anybody out there? That's Tomas. Speak to him about that. It's amazing. And John Dent did the parking for us in valet. So I think that's about everything for the thank yous. So now that we did that, why are we all here? The Luxury Interior Designer Panel, for amazing panelists that we have. I want to read this to you guys because ChatGPT is amazing, and I was so proud of myself for doing this. So interior design is where creativity meets emotion to craft spaces that transcend more than mere aesthetics. These four masters of their craft have expertise that goes beyond merely arranging furniture. They curate atmospheres that breathe life into homes, stirring emotions and weaving narratives that resonate with the soul. Is that pretty good? Give a round of applause for ChatGPT. That was amazing. But it is so true. I mean, if we go into an incredibly designed interior of a home, you just know it. It wows you. We see it in the magazines tonight. We get to hear from them. Our first panelists, we're going to read each one of their bios. Then we're going to go through the list of questions that we have for them. At the very end, we might open it up if we have time for Q&A. So if you do have a question that pops up, just keep it in your mind. I'm going to open up to you in a little bit. First off, we have Jeanne Collins, JerMar. She is an award-winning interior designer, JerMar Design. She works with executives and entrepreneurs focusing on projects that combine sophistication and balance with her inner and outer wellness. Winner of the 2022 Lux Magazine and Red Award, she was also recently nominated as HGTV's Designer of the Year. She chronicles her journey and that approach that changed her life and work in her memoir, 2 Feet In, Lessons from an All-In Life, which we do have on display right outside, right?
In the kitchen.
In the kitchen. If you'd like to purchase a copy, I have my autographed. My autographed copy. I have my autographed copy. It's really great. You should absolutely check it out. Her mission is to encourage people to live their best lives. It's integral to everything that she does, from her work creating sanctuaries for her interior design clients to mentoring women in business. Give it up for Jeanne. Next up, we have Cindy Rinfret. Cindy Rinfret is the principal designer of Rinfret Ltd, and she has been creating iconic interior designs and iconic interior design and defining true classic Greenwich style for 30 years. Cindy has worked with the who's who of the client and the best clientele. Best known for her luxurious yet comfortable design aesthetic, as illustrated in her 2 books, Classic Greenwich Style and Classic Style Inspired Family Homes. Rinfret Ltd offers a very sophisticated full-service interior design experience with her design team and in-house architect, Cindy Rinfret. Next up, we have Michelle Hogue, owner of Hogue Interior Design and an award-winning and nationally recognized full-service design build live firm that choreographs all stages of design, construction, and interiors. With simplicity of form, attention to detail, and a reverence for the timeless style, she creates space that are thoughtful, remarkable, and personal. From blueprints to bar soaps, we'll talk about that, Michelle takes care of the details, thriving on creating happy spaces for happy people. Recently, Michelle's work was recognized with 5 consecutive Hogue Awards, adding to her already extensive collection of awards and accolades. Michelle Hogue. Next up, we have Calla McNamara. She is the founder and creative director of Calla. She works closely with clients managing creative directions, conceptual, and design development. Calla has a wide range of experience that allows her to capture a high level of design with maintaining a practical mindset around construction, timelessness, and livability. She strives not just to provide service, but to create a journey from start to finish that feels approachable and enjoyable. Calla consists of her interior design studio and home goods and lifestyle store. Calla. Now, I don't have my glasses, so that was straining for me, but I was doing it for the camera, so thank you. All right, so, yeah. So what we're going to do now is we're going to give each one of our panelists an opportunity to have their own question that they can answer. And we're going to start with Jeanne. Jeanne, your passion for life comes through all that you do. Can you tell us more about how you're using interior design to help your clients live their best life?
Yes, and thank you for having us. Sure. So one of the things that I focus on as an interior designer is overall wellness for people. I have a huge passion for mindset and environment and the energy you're creating in your home. And so when I work with my clients, to give an example, a lot of times I dig into things that they might not want to talk about, such as like, what's the first thing that you see when you wake up in the morning? And the reason why I do that when we're designing an aesthetic is not just about making their primary bedroom beautiful, but it's about recognizing how your environment impacts your day. So I will ask them, when you open your eyes, what are you looking at? Are you looking at a piece of artwork that inspires you or is really pretty or brings back memories for you? What's on the ceiling? Do you have something cool on the ceiling? I have really cool geometric black and white wallpaper on the ceiling in my bedroom that I stare at when I lie in bed. Or are you looking at a pile of laundry? And it's amazing how many times people, silently chuckle or actually chuckle out loud to themselves because they are looking at the laundry. And so when I talk to them about their homes, and it's not just about making it pretty, it's about what is the experience going to be like and how are those experiences that I can create in their home help them with overall wellness and getting them to really think about the things of your sensory experiences when you first wake up in the morning. What's the first thing you see? What's the first thing you smell? What's the first thing your feet touch? When you step out of bed, is it a nice soft carpet? What is it? And so that's how I try to bring wellness to interior design in a very practical, actionable way for my clients.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Cindy, your question. You've been able to stand the test of time in an industry that's constantly changing. Can you tell us more about what you think has contributed to your long-term success?
As an interior designer, you're not necessarily, it's not what you do, it's who you are. It's like you eat, you sleep, you breathe it every single day. And I think the consistency too of being in a community where I'm so fortunate to work with like some of the best architects and some of the most beautiful houses in the country. And what we focus on is the bones of the house and getting the classic shell of the house perfect. We don't necessarily go with trends. And one of my clients, who's sort of a celebrity client, said, the thing about your rooms are you're the rooms that I never change. But luckily he sells the house and then we do another one. But he keeps them forever. And it's probably not good for the designer because then you don't get to redo these rooms. But so in my mind, a house is sort of like a pretty girl. If the bones are great, you don't have to over decorate it. But then you also have to listen to your clients about, and listening is really important in this business, is what are the things that they love, what their passions are. And we like houses that look like they've been traveled and collected and they tell a personality about a client. And so that's, I think, the key to being a good listener and taking all the best things about your client's lifestyle and showing it to them in a beautiful way. And also, being in the business, having a couple books gives you the credibility, and clients tend to trust you. And as we all know, multiple clients are easier than breaking in a new client. And I'm very fortunate because we have clients that are 17 projects, 7 projects, 6 projects, they're children's projects. So I think that says something about our longevity and also just loving Greenwich and being lucky enough to work in this environment.
There you go. Absolutely. Michelle, I love the concept of blueprints to bar soaps approach. Can you tell us a little bit more about that approach and how you came up with that philosophy?
Sure. So it was quite unintentional. We had a client that we worked with in Westport, and they asked us to work on their house in Breckenridge. And I should start by saying I started as an interior designer, but quickly discovered that I love the architectural process and the renovation itself and the build and aligning windows and bringing in natural light, and became a licensed general contractor, which gave me more control, especially over the smaller renovations. I have my own niche, not competing with Hobbs or the larger builders. I very much know my niche. But these clients, we had we had a long-standing relationship with them, and they wanted to renovate a home in Breckenridge. And so I served that capacity as a contractor. Yet while I was there, I knew they were coming out at, like, for the holidays. I could not resist. I could not help myself. And I had, personalized stockings hung for them, and everything from laundry pods and, like, the cute little canister that says laundry, like just every last detail that made me smile. And so that's how we stumbled into this concept. And yet what I've really realized at the end of the day, the shortest distance between signing a contract and delivering a home not only benefits us as builders, but the client satisfaction, right? And so we really do this for our clients, and it's a matter of trust. And your home typically is your largest investment. And so we have our clients that are going through a renovation or building a new home, and that's quite a process and takes a lot of time. And then they get into this empty space, right? And then it's another 18 months to order their furniture. And so this is what we do now, and we love it. And we have a lot of clients where it's a second home or whatnot, but when usually within 7 to 10 days of obtaining a CO, every last thing that you can think of to make it Airbnb worthy is in the house, literally. From a pool house that we did recently I served them margaritas when they came in, and there was a snow cone machine and personalized bath towels and dental floss in every bathroom. And it's not staged. I mean, it's mattress pad and beautiful linens, every last detail, so that they literally can just come in with a suitcase and enjoy their home. Why we do it is because it makes the client happy, and they really get to experience their biggest investment sooner. And nothing gives us more joy than seeing them
That's great.
happy.
Absolutely. Well explained. Now we know. Calla, you have a lot going on. You've been able to scale really quickly. You have a team that designs coast to coast, plus a retail store. Can you talk to us about how you manage all of that?
Well, I think I'm still figuring it out, but I'm really lucky to have a talented group of women that work with me every day, and we've been fortunate to work with really talented builders and architects. We've taken on projects in California, Florida, New York. We did a project in London last year. And what we've realized is that if we lean into our 3D models and really detail out everything in the model, not only is that really effective for the client to sort of sign on to the vision, but it also allows everybody else on the team, the build team, if there is an architect involved, to sort of understand the vision that you have and then work together to complete the project.
Got it. Absolutely. So now we're going to go to pointed questions, and then basically I'll give you this one, Jeanne, and then if anybody feels like they want to open up an ad, you absolutely can. So Jeanne, it's clear you have such a passion for creating a vision, whether that be through interior design or designing your life. How do you help your clients see what your vision looks like?
So it depends on the client. Some clients, they don't need to see a 3D render or feel like they can walk through a room. A lot of them do, more and more, like Calla just said. More of them do need to see it, and that really does bring it to life. I also find, I'm a very tactile person, and so are my clients. So bringing them all the parts and all the components, and this is what your wood looks and feels like, and this is what your fabric look and feel like. There's nothing that will replace them feeling the fabric that's going to be on their sofa, or understanding how the different textures are going to go together, especially when you're designing in neutrals. And it's all about, different textures and different patterns, all maybe within the same color palette. So Those are the two ways.
Got it. Does anybody else have a specific way that you help your clients see designs or anything like Calla? I know you work with a lot of people across the country. Is everything, are you in digital renderings more than anything else?
Yeah, I think we're using our models. We're using those to then create renderings, and we're putting everything in there from millwork to architectural lighting to accessories. And I think it really helps sort of, I don't want to say sell them on the vision, but like we're working to create their vision. And I think that can be an effective way, especially if people aren't well-versed in space or materials.
Yeah. Do you guys find the same way that you have clients that want to see it first a lot of times?
I think it's really important that clients see everything.
Yeah.
So the more you can give them, almost the better. But you also have to do it in small pieces, because their attention span, like a TED Talk, is 20 minutes.
Sure.
And you can't overload them, because then they get backed in a corner and then they can't make decisions. So you have to kind of read your client as well.
Yeah.
And some clients want to, go and sit and a lot of times that's difficult because we do everything a lot of things custom, especially now with, the supply chains getting longer and longer. You used to be with a client 18 months, now you're 3 years.
Yeah.
So that's a long time to have a relationship. So it all depends on the particular client, but the more they can see, and from a business standpoint too, everything we put in writing and they have to sign off on. So there's no after, she said, he said, this or that. And, interior design, I think is, probably 25% the fun, creative part, and the rest of it is really administration and being extremely organized, but also organizing your client.
It better be a lot of fun for that 25%.
Yeah. Well, that's why we all do it. That's why we all do it.
Got it.
So
Cindy, I'm going to pitch this one to you right off that. You have such a recognizable work. Can you tell us how you created your own style and how you keep developing it? So what were some of the foundations of your own style?
Well, people for some reason think that we only do traditional, which is not true. And I think in some of the photographs you'll see, we've done 2 modern houses, like the lead singer from Metallica bought one in Vail, Colorado. And then we built another house. And then we did a ranch in Wyoming with a bowling alley. And so, I think the recognizable part about our design is that it's quality, and my philosophy is you do it once, you do it right. And we try and educate a client to grow into themselves, because sometimes they're a little afraid in the beginning, and you want to stretch them a little bit so that long term, when you're a project 3 years, you don't want to look like it was done 3 years ago when you finish it. So you want to get them going on that. But, and like I said, we don't really go into trends, as far as, I think with art and accessories, you can add the trends, but I think it's really important to just, especially in a house and an investment like that, is to have, the bones and the shell of the house absolutely beautiful. And then, whether the curtains are blue or you want to change them to yellow, that is not, it's the architecture getting that straight. And so I hope that answered your question.
That was good. Does anybody else have anything they want to comment about how they created their own style, if they have one? Any inspiration on that?
We were just chatting earlier. It'd be so lovely if we could share our own style with you. It doesn't happen often.
Okay.
Our job is to be able to bring out the client's vision. It's their space and it's their home.
Got it.
It is interesting in our profession, though, where people will say, "Oh, I love your aesthetic," and you're just like, "Yeah, you don't know what my aesthetic is."
Okay.
Soon, because Laura and I are working on my own personal house with Chris Pagliaro right now, which is awesome. But yeah, no, it really is about capturing.
Hardest client is
Their
yourself.
sense.
Always.
You can make decisions
Always.
for everybody else, but when it comes
sure.
down, it's the same thing. I think clients go through. When it's for yourself, it's a little bit more
Well,
difficult.
we're going to talk
much
about
harder.
that too. We're going to get into that. Michelle, as someone who handles so many different aspects of the process, can you tell us what is the best time for a client to start engaging with you?
Immediately.
Right away.
Right, and we always say that, right? But for sure, especially to create a collaborative team, right? And to have your builder and your designer and your architect working together. And I can't even tell you the number of times that I'll walk into a house. It's like a dreadful moment. Can you tell? I'm like, when you walk into a house and you go into the primary bedroom and the bed doesn't fit between the windows because
All the time.
because somebody dropped in a CAD block for a king bed, which is really just a mattress size, right?
Right.
Sense my frustration in that tone, but it's so imperative. And also we're the ones that are having that intimate relationship with the client to ask them the questions. Do you prefer swivel? Do you prefer a platform bed? And that's important to know in window placement, right? I ask the questions like, where are you storing your paper towels? Because I know it's 11.5 inches for the shelf, right? And I know a lot of women may not think about it, but it's very nice to have your under things in a drawer in your primary bathroom instead of, so while we're creating custom spaces for people, it is an intimate process. And usually it's the designer that's able to bring out those answers to make your space as functional and as personal as possible.
So most people, when they start going through, okay, I'm thinking about, let's say, custom home build. I want to build a home. So a lot of times they first think of, well, I'm going to find land, I'm going to work with a builder, I'm going to go through the whole process. But as fast as they do put that team together, they should have the interior designer right there, because there's a lot they could miss in that process by bringing them in too late, right?
Absolutely.
Yes.
And I mean, we all, like, I work with builders and I work with architects. So my client, it's not always the blueprints to bar soaps for us.
Yeah.
But everybody, when collaborating, it really becomes a cohesive team of creative ideas that only makes it better for the client at the end of the day.
The interior designers also make it easier, because I think, sometimes people are afraid of the decorator. But, if you engage the decorator early on, it avoids a lot of problems. And we force the clients to make decisions.
Yeah.
We look at the plans, and we're doing the plumbing schedules, the lighting schedule. We're doing the floor plans so that we can move the bathroom door because it's in the wrong place. And we can catch all these little things. And then we can also get clients to commit to things. So, how do you know what?
And it's less expensive.
Yeah. And,
Yeah.
so there's no afterwards the punch lists or the change orders.
Yeah.
But even like you're building a house, what color the windows are going to be, what color is the hardware going to be. You have to dive into the interior design portion of it, get the layouts so you can do all those other things. But then those questions answer themselves, instead of the builder asking the client, well, do you want satin nickel or do you want, because it's
get
already
ahead of
been,
Yeah. Get ahead of it.
And you save money, right? Because you really don't want to make a field decision and understand after the fact, oh, they wanted wall-mounted faucet. Oh, we have to reframe, right?
Well, I want a
now.
steam
So,
shower.
like, it's really
Got
important
it.
to be able to know all of the, and also to be able to tease it out of the client
Gotcha.
about what they really do want, instead of the house is framed and sheetrock is up and now, it's just,
So put that team
Yeah.
together right away.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Calla, you bring so much experience to your designs with your past experience in architecture and construction. What is your favorite type of space to work in?
I think we like to start in the kitchen. I think we're looking at spatial planning overall, but I think the kitchen has just become such a integral part of the home. People are entertaining there, they're living there. It's a functional space, and it's also in our design sort of setting the palette, I think, for the rest of the house. I think it's a really approachable place to start with clients because they're familiar with how they want to live in that space, and we can kind of get ahead of answering or asking some of those questions that will be important as we sort of develop the rest of the home and the material palettes and furniture and everything.
So the kitchen.
Yep.
Do you guys agree? Anybody have a different space they like to work in? How many people love a beautiful kitchen? How many people love a beautiful kitchen?
I'll have them.
Oh, well, there you go. I
Yeah, yeah.
help you.
Everyone loves a beautiful kitchen.
I also think of a house, though, as the first thing I look at if I was walked into this house is, how is the outside going to relate to the inside? And where's the visuals? And where's the light?
Yeah.
So, it's important to get the spaces, like you said, the kitchen where people are engaging. But I also think that, the light and I'm sort of like an inside outside. I like bringing
that
indoors and
transition,
outdoors.
yeah.
That transition's really important to me when planning a house.
Yep. Yes.
Flow.
off
the
of that, I
flow.
really
Yeah.
think that when I think of a house, I don't think of the house, I think of the property.
Yeah.
And from the edge of the property to the edge of the property to the edge of the property to the edge of the property, like how you can create functional and beautiful outdoor spaces. So a landscape architect, it's important to have them on board from the beginning as well. But again, maximize your largest investment and really create the indoor-outdoor space that you're looking for.
Got it. Jeanne, what do you consider one of the most important aspects of designing a room?
A couple, but one of my favorites is artwork. I think people very often wait until the end to decide what they want for artwork, and I prefer to be talking about the artwork, back to the lighting and the design of the architecture, talking about like a space for this, like this, for example. Okay, if this is a family who likes artwork in a room like this, where are we going to put that artwork? And the size of the walls, and especially if you're starting before the walls are even up, how big are the walls going to be? And, can you go all the way down? And what type of artwork do people like? And artwork can dictate, people can say, I love color. But as you talk to them, you might find out, well, color needs to live in the artwork. Color actually doesn't need to live in the furniture. They want the color to live in the artwork. So art is one of my favorite things to source for clients. And, I've designed rooms around art that had already existed, or designed rooms around art that I've bought, and then designed the room around the art that I've found.
Yep. Anybody else add anything to that?
Yeah, I think art is a big part of what we do. I think some of our interiors are a bit more minimalist, but art becomes a really important feature. And whether a client is coming to you with a catalog of pre-existing art or you're helping them source something, I think it's good to know about that, from how you're going to light the space, where you're going to hang it, but also just kind of stylistically where they're coming from.
Very good. Cindy, what makes a successful interior design project? What can your clients expect when they work with you?
I think that finding the right client and the right marriage between the client and the decorator is really, really important. Because, like I said earlier, you're in these relationships for years and years, and even lifetimes. I mean, I have some clients, I've been working with and their families for years and years.
Yeah.
So, also, it's important to inspire the client about their purchase. And we're in the happy business, like you were saying earlier, and you want to get people inspired. So when you see a house, your infection helps build the client's rapport with you as well. And you're also trying to educate them. I mean, we have a wealth of knowledge here, and people are coming to you and they're a little insecure. They get intimidated by the decorators coming over or the architects coming over or whatever. So, to build this confidence with them and have them feel like it's a safe place. And no question is, I'd rather have a million questions than no questions, because I hate when clients yes you, which we all have, yes, and then they go home and they're like, well, I'm not sure about this. It's honesty is the best policy.
To ask you the question.
Right. So, we're in a relationship business.
Yep.
As much as anything else. We're in a design business, but like the other girls were saying, is you don't want to impose your lifestyle on somebody. You want to read what their lifestyle and make it the best that they can be.
Yeah. So this goes back to not about necessarily my style, but how do I provide my best service to somebody and what they're looking for? And you have to be able to work with different clients who have different types of jobs, different types of schedules, different types of personalities. And the fact that you guys have been successful as long as you have and work with the kind of clientele you have, that is the first thing. It's the service you provide, to who you provide, and how you provide it. That's the whole thing.
One of the things, I had a client, and a lot of it is also being able to blend things. They had an incredible art collection, and they had antiques, but then they wanted some modern pieces. So it's educating and growing your client into a house, like being able to blend scales, blend their lifestyles, push them to the next level. So,
Michelle, can you help us understand the difference between interior design, interior decorator, and interior architect?
I would love to shed some light on this mystery to everyone here. I mean, a fair analogy would be to equate an interior decorator with a draftsman. Okay, so we do not, an interior designer has had schooling, there's the NCDIQ exam. We do not have across the board platforms per state, which is a little bit of a challenge in our field. Some states you literally cannot put interior designer on your card unless you have the qualifications, but it's not like we even carry cards anymore, right? So, I think it's an unfortunate thing, because I do feel that it's fine to be a decorator. I'm not debasing. We hire decorators to finish out pillows and curtains on our projects. So, but however, the interior decorator tends to gravitate towards colors and fabrics and soft goods. An interior designer it does have schooling, and in our brains we know that the coffee table to the couch should be 12 to 18 inches depending upon how tall your client is, right? Those numbers live with us, and we know how to do perspective drawings even if we choose not to anymore. There are qualifications and actually years of experience to be a licensed interior designer. An interior architect deals with the hardscapes, right? So your plumbing fixtures, which again, an interior designer is schooled on repeating elements. So for example, where my plumbing fixture hits the countertop, is that a circle? is that a square, right? So it's every little detail that an interior architect will take into consideration. But the plumbing, the lighting, the millwork, the cabinetry, and electrical plan. And so an interior architect has the skill set of the interior designer and works on the hardscapes of the home. And again, as you mentioned with lighting, that's something, we are schooled on the distance between the recessed lights. We understand kelvins and what that looks like, whereas a decorator just doesn't have the same level of training. That's really what it comes down to. And it's probably why when people are like, oh, and here's Michelle, our decorator, I cringe just a little bit. Yes, because it took a long time to be where we are
everybody
today.
got it now?
The
You understand the
training.
difference? Good. Calla, what's your favorite design aesthetic?
I think I've really leaned into kind of soft modern. I think that I really appreciate sort of the clean lines of modern architecturally, but I like to balance that with organic materials, whether it's bringing in the texture of wood or a stone that has some sort of veining in it, and then kind of mixing that with linens and other bouclés or other materials so that you have that pretty neutral palette, but that it feels very layered.
Okay. Anybody else have a favorite design aesthetic? 'Cause we're about to go
I
into
always
something.
start with natural, neutral, a little bit of navy, a little bit of black, and then the colors reside in the accessories and in the art. But I always do, even when it is a client and their aesthetic, I educate and teach them why it's important to have a foundation in neutrals. And that will give you a timeless, thoughtful, remarkable space that has longevity.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I really like about what we do here is, like I said, we get to take what's in the magazines and bring them to life. And that's what we're going to get to do right now. We're going to get to take a project from each one of their favorite projects, and they're going to get to talk about it. So we're going to start with Jeanne. So Jeanne, what's going on here? It looks amazing.
Yeah.
Talk to us.
Yeah, this is your average 2,000 square foot pool house. This is
Just an average-
your average 2,000
average
square
pool
foot
house.
pool house.
Yeah.
Yep. Where you could definitely go live. Many of us could live there. So this is a client of mine in New Canaan, and the family had built their own home on about 5 acres about 6 years prior, and then they bought the piece of property behind them and conjoined the two properties. And so the outside of this pool house looks very traditional to match the traditional style of their main home, yet the inside of the pool house looks completely different, as they have a very traditional taste. And so the challenge to me as a designer was the house had already been designed. I came in, they were, walls weren't up yet. And back to Michelle's point, and this is just a really quick funny story, they had brought me in as a designer for this project and then decided that I was too expensive. And then 4 months later, I heard from the husband again, and he's like, okay, I decided I need your help. By then, the electrical was done. The walls were about to go up. Well, the bathroom in the upstairs doesn't have any recessed lighting in it. So I'm like, there's no light in the bathroom. You go to the bathroom, you can't see anything. There's no light. There's a light over the shower, and there's this little sconce that is over the vanity, but there's no light in the ceiling. And by then, it was way too late, and you can't have light. So, and there were 6 other things that happened in this house that were like that because it was just too late. But anyway, after he got over the fact that designers are expensive, and I think we don't shy away from that, we are a luxury service. It was really fun because all of it was about making this pool house look nothing like their very traditional house. And so it was all about having a zen yet artsy yet more modern vibe. They're a family of 5 with a dog. They entertain all the time. And we did everything in white. All the furniture is white, but then the walls are white, which is nothing like their main house.
Look at that pool house.
Like nothing. And most of the pieces are custom in it, which was really, really fun. And he loves color and really wanted to do fun color. And, artwork was a really big thing for this house. So it has just a very different vibe to their main house and is very zen and really relaxing and they use it all year. It's not just a pool house. They use it as an entertaining house.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So it was fun.
Amazing. Cindy, let's see yours.
This was a carriage house in Darien, and it was built in the 1800s. It was a very Queen Anne carriage house. And so the floor plan was kind of quirky because it had been literally a stable.
Okay.
And it had had a very bad renovation before this. And, typical people think you're on the water, so everything's got to be sort of Nantucket-y. And this client had incredible collections in arts and crystal, and she was a very glam girl. So she likes detail, and, the aesthetic of it had to stay the architecture of the Queen Anne style with, the mirrored transoms, but the proportions of the house were all kind of off, so we had to fix some things like those transoms. But we were blending her style into a house that needed like a complete Cinderella facelift. We created that whole bar. There was a hallway in between, and so we had a bar that opened on both sides, so the light went in and out and all that. So, we designed all the cabinetry, and we tried to blend her antique pieces with new pieces and make the house feel collected. Beautiful. Like her lifestyle.
Yeah.
And here, the house, the photograph on the left, this was a Georgian house in Greenwich. The clients lived in the River House. They had, Frankenthaler paintings and all this incredible thing, and they loved neoclassic. But they wanted the house to feel fresh and new and not old, but important. So, we blended the traditional with the contemporary, with accessories and artwork, and it has this fabulous house. You go in and it's just like, you keep discovering great things, and that's a lot had to do with the client too, because they had wonderful furniture that they wanted to blend. And then, in contrary, like everybody thinks they do traditional, this is a house in Vail, Colorado. This is, I think, the second house we did for this client. So
this is more of a modern take.
Yeah, it was all steel glass, downhill racer, last ski and ski out property in Vail, Colorado. Wow. And they had the property next door, and this property came available, and so they bought this, and then this is when they sold the other house to Metallica. Okay. This house, so this is where, this is a good contrast about interior designers. If you're a good designer, you can do neoclassic, you can do modern. It's all about knowing scale, knowing products, having resources, listening to your client and understanding your client, working with the architects, picking out all the materials in this ski house on the other side on that photograph. So, the devil's in the detail, and that's what makes a really good designer, is seeing like all the details and being able to blend things successfully.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
All right, Michelle, let's take a look at your work.
So earlier you heard that picking fabric and whatnot is about 25% of the job, right? So we wear a lot of hats and project management and whatnot. I actually was an analyst before I went back to school for interior design, and I'm a nerd with Excel spreadsheets. I love the detail of it, and I take it very seriously when a client hands over their home and also expects me to manage their money. Right? So I tell them all the time, it is an honor to maximize their budget as much as possible. This picture is up here to show you, this couple discovered Ridgefield during COVID. They live in the city, and they wanted a weekend home. You can actually, it's no longer blue, but if you peek through, we did a pool renovation, pool house from a barn. This room was the solarium, and I wanted to show it as an example. I say to my clients all the time, good design does not need to cost a lot of money. It just takes forethought, right? And this is a perfect example of a room that they thought that they would not be able to touch because of budget, and because they bought the home when a realtor had told them put a couple $100,000 and you'll have a new kitchen and a new home, not understanding that all the mechanicals were an issue, and there was duct tape on the ceiling or on the roof that you couldn't see because it was under snow. So the roof collapsed while we were renovating right after we had put in the hardwood floors.
There goes the decorating budget.
So there goes the $200,000, right? So the $200,000 quickly turned into $1.7 million. And I really felt horrible for the family. But at the end of the day, the solarium, we did not change anything structurally. The tile is actually the yellow, you did large yellow tile. We painted it white. And we took our lead from the leaded transoms and painted the grids, the mullions, and the windows black to make the bucolic property really pop in this space and kept everything nice and neutral. They have 3 young children, so you might be thinking, I would never do white with young children. That's indoor-outdoor fabric, okay? Its umbrella makes some great fabrics and perennials as well. It's actually even an indoor-outdoor rug. And what you cannot see is adjacent in the same room and space is their dining room. And it's black and grounds it. But so again, all we did in this room, paint and new lighting. That's it. So it is our job.
But the room had great bones. Come on.
It's an incredible Victorian. It's a beautiful home, and it needed to be modernized. And we put more emphasis on some of the structural mechanicals, obviously, and then some structural elements by removing walls and opening up. So now, from the front door, you can see straight through to the solarium, which you could not before. But it was a very choppy floor plan. Wow. It's really, yeah. So this is a totally different. Obviously, house aesthetic, everything. This is a young family in Westport, and I wanted to show this as an example. I did not envision a sectional, and definitely not a sectional this big in the space. They really wanted a sectional, and so we did, and they really the list of what they wanted in the space. They're the most adorable family. She really wanted reading nooks, and they really wanted cubbies, and they really wanted a gas fireplace. I wish you could see the before on this. It's a heavy stone masonry fireplace. It had a pitched, the ceiling of the room was pitched with skylights closer to the door. She wanted a gallery wall. So we flattened the ceiling, we furred out the walls, brought in gas for the fireplace, created these niches. One of the most important things that I love to do in a home, doesn't matter what the client's aesthetic might be, or even my own aesthetic, I firmly believe that a home should personify peace, safety, and love. And I firmly believe that it's the intimate details that you're aware of in your own home that make it personal. So for example, she really wanted a gallery wall of her children. So we planned for the gallery wall. What she didn't know is before we hung everything, we went to her husband and asked him to write a love note to each of his children on the back, and one to her on the picture of the 2 of them. And when she came in, she was moved because she didn't know that we had included the gallery wall, but moreover, we went over and took one down and showed her. She was moved. And what's really beautiful about that, while they're sitting in this space, they know, right? It's not for anybody else. That is how you personalize your space.
Beautiful. That's beautiful. Calla, let's see some of your work.
Yeah, this is a project, this was really fun for us. This is in Del Mar, California, and we had worked with this client and build team before, so we had a lot of trust going into the project, which was great. What you can't see behind here is that there are ocean, sort of whitewater views, and it's kind of situated on this canyon. So the way it works in Del Mar is it actually takes almost up to 4 years to get a house permitted, because it's a small town and people want to protect their views. So going in, we knew that we were kind of locked into this footprint, but that we were going to have a lot of flexibility sort of with the interior spaces and spatial planning. And one of the things that we looked at from the start of the project was that you have this amazing view, but you had these 2 sort of neighbors on either side. And so we spent a lot of time kind of studying the sight lines and making sure that through your kind of glass wall, you were going to be looking at the water and kind of avoiding looking at your neighbors. But yeah, it was a really great project. We got to touch kind of all aspects. The client had asked that we sort of oversee everything on the project, from interior planning, exterior materials, working with the landscape designer. And so we, again, kind of built out a full model. They had taken a hands-off approach, I think, because we had already worked together, and kind of said, I want you to put it all together, show it to us, and if we like it, it's a go. So that's what we did. We built the whole model. We included the lights, the art, some of their pre-existing art, toys from their kids' rooms, kind of everything in it to kind of sell the vision. And it was great. They signed on, and then we could kind of go to work with the build team and provide drawings and construction schedules and everything to sort of keep it organized and ahead of schedule. Yeah, and it was really great. We got to play with different materials. We used a Mortex product on this fireplace, which we also used in some of the bathrooms. The client is also vegan and really sensitive to sort of off-gassing and wants clean products. So we worked with a lot of our custom furniture makers to ensure that there weren't any animal products used. We did sneak in some wool pillows for the photo shoot, but we had to remove them. But yeah, it was really fun. We kind of got to touch every aspect of the project, and that's very unusual. And it was fun to see it come all together.
Beautiful, beautiful. What a great example of all of your works. They're different, but how you take clients' visions and how your process works. That was really great that we got to do this. Again, one of my favorite things about doing these is it comes to life when we hear it from you. I get asked a lot from people who are looking to sell their home. Obviously, we're about to sell our property. What do we have to do before you go ahead and market the property to maybe get the best return on investment if we have a budget? I want to pitch it to you guys. Anybody can take it. So if there's a seller getting ready to sell their property before we go ahead and take it and market the property, what's the best advice, Michelle?
So I had a client in Westport, and we had spent, we believe strongly, spend more time in the design phase and call out every specification. Yeah. So you have a greater control over the budget, but also on the timing, right? And deliverables of the project. So we had spent months designing this exquisite kitchen. And I mean, it was around a $500,000 kitchen. It was a beautiful kitchen. We were delivering the dumpster and ready to start demo on Monday. And she called me on Sunday and she goes, "You're going to hate me." Like, why? She's like, "Oh, I just bought a house in Greenwich. So we just need to fix this one up." And I'm like, okay. So she's like, so what can we do to maximize, our ROI on this one? And if I recall correctly, I think it was around $65,000 that we ended up putting into it. But anything that would have been picked up by an inspector, obviously, we addressed. We changed out recessed lights. We made sure any, cabinetry, everything had soft close, and anything that was broken was fixed. Obviously, paint through the whole house, staging, and new lighting. Short story, long story short, right? The next day it went into a bidding war and it sold within hours. And then she hired us to do the Greenwich house. But that was a perfect example. It does take money to make money, and sometimes people are afraid of it. But if you really realize that, okay, maybe for in that example, she put in $60,000, I can promise you, if the return on that was huge. We try to, so if a client comes to me and says, "Oh, I have X amount of dollars and I really want," and her focus is, or him and her, I should not be gender specific on that, but rugs and art and whatnot. And I'm looking at a house that has yellowed out light switches and, electrical outlets that are in the wall and not the baseboard. That's my job, to educate them and to tell them, before you spend X amount of dollars on soft goods, let's look at the bones of your house. Let's look at the recessed lighting, and let's please include that. And if we're going to be painting, right? If we're going to be painting, let's go ahead and put your outlets in the base where they belong. Like, that is, I actually really enjoy, they don't necessarily enjoy taking that budget down on the soft goods, but at the end of the day, the soft goods don't stay with your house.
So if I'm looking to sell my house and I'm saying, well, I have a budget, I don't have time or money to redo my entire property. I can't do the landscaping and the bathrooms and the kitchens and everything. I can't do every single room. But if I was going to hone all my budget on one specific area of the house, is it more the paint? Is it more the softs? Is it more go all into the kitchen? Is there one room specifically that you guys think or you would find or give advice to?
I think a fresh coat of paint really works miracles.
Yeah.
You could paint a lot of things. You can paint
Paint-
windows, doors, ceilings. You
paint's
can
Paint,
number one.
lighting, outlets, and switches.
Lighting
A
outlets.
dumpster.
The dumpster.
And
A lot of
also
times it's
living
not what you
space.
put into the house, it's what you take out of the house.
Take out.
And it's really hard to get people to part with things. But on the other turn side of this, I mean, I've had clients, 7 clients who have sold their houses turnkey because of the decorating. So also, if you do things right the first time, people come in and they go, "Oh, I love it and I want to love this lifestyle, I want to buy into the lifestyle." So, the decorating's a big investment in the front end, but you also get it on the return on the other end if it's done timelessly and beautifully.
Can you decorate around something that hasn't been modernized? Let's say you have a kitchen that you kind of know hasn't been updated. Can you go with an interior designer or a decorator to decorate around that not being a brand new kitchen?
We do it all the time. Like if we have cabinets that are short of the ceiling, telltale, and we will bring them up to the ceiling and add molding and paint.
Well, changing hardware, changing
Hardware.
countertops, changing backsplashes.
Bar
Like
stools,
backsplashes a lot of times.
Backsplash is huge.
Huge, because that kind of dates a house too.
Yeah.
Fixtures.
But,
I call it lipstick on a pig, and I also equate renovations and design often to cosmetic surgery or bags and shoes. And I'm like, are we just doing a little bit of lipstick and rouge,
Yeah.
or are we going in for a full facelift? Let's do this,
it.
right?
Got
But yeah, it goes a long way.
Spaces people live in.
Lip
You
gloss
have to-
goes
like
a long
here,
way.
right? Like this was staged because this is like a living space, and so it's staged to look like it would appeal to a much broader audience. And same thing over there. Spaces that are in rooms where people would see themselves living, whether it be their family room off the kitchen or a living space like this, it allows someone who walks into a home to overlook a library like that, if you walk in there, that it is much more dated. If they're like, oh, I could see us living here, so it's those, if you can get a few of those spaces, then people will, walk past the powder room that needs to be gutted.
And I like what you said too. Sometimes it's not about what you put in, it's about what you take out.
Yeah.
And sometimes just decluttering a space to open it up is the key. Beautiful.
Less is more.
Less is more. All right, so another question. This one is just, I don't know, maybe it's important to you guys, but this one's more for me, and definitely my wife, both of us. So we have a 6 and 8-year-old, and basically, as you can imagine, it's hard to control sometimes, 2 little boys that are running around like crazy. How do you get a magazine-worthy house when you have 2 boys, 6 and 8, that just bang stuff up against everything that you put into it? How do you do
Can
that?
I take that?
Take it, please. Get a pen, Beck.
I have this thing about children's rooms. I mean, your most important thing in your life is your child. And I think it's really important to make really beautiful children's rooms. And I think it creates a feeling of your child that he's important and that you've spent all this time to make his room gorgeous. And every day he wakes up and he remembers, his childhood bedroom. I remember my childhood bedroom. And I find that so important because I think you're also creating the aesthetic for somebody going forward. And you're going to say, oh, they're going to trash it, this or that. Dogs and cats cause more havoc than children do in rooms. I mean, kids might spill things now and then, but I think that you have to think of it in a different way, that this is an important sense of well-being for your children, to have a room that they adore, and mommy and daddy did this for me. And, my son's apartment in Miami is so fabulous. And he grew up in these great rooms. And so that's his life that he's aspired to. And my daughter the same way. And, I think it's the most important room in the house.
The kids' rooms. Yep.
I do.
Outside of designing specifically for a child's room, I say embrace it. Like when my most
joy.
favorite table is a table that has impressions from my children. It's from my daughter, who's now 22, where she was learning to write. Love it, right? So, and even when we're getting ready to paint a room, I'll ask the client's children to come in and write their wishes on the wall. And they know that their wishes are always there. So to me, if your children are running through and loving their home, there's nothing more magical. And another thing, I always encourage people to take the basement door off. Like if you have a finished basement, they're like, but my kids are down there. I would love to capture the sound of my 3 children laughing and playing together. Like that is what warms your home. It's just beautiful.
I have to tell one story because this is crazy. So my daughter's bedroom, I had this great artist, and he did sort of this beautiful painted mural, and it had a bird with a ribbon, and it had her birthday on it, and it had all these things that she loved, and it was sort of like an English folly, and she had mirrored French doors with all her dresses and all her costumes and everything. And she sat in that room watching the artist for like a week painting her room. And so one night at 3 o'clock in the morning, we had just put down new carpet and we're just finishing decorating. And I woke up in my daughter's hands, her feet, her face was covered with lipstick, and so were my dust skirt, the wall, the bottom of her feet, and she ran down with the carpets, and all her feet marks are in them. And I was like, Taylor, what'd you do? And she's like, Mommy, she was so proud of herself because she watched this artist paint a room for 2 weeks, and she thought she was being the artist herself. So, as tragic at the time when the carpet guy said, well, we can't clean this carpet, you're going to have to replace it. And it was only 3 days old, but it was all full of oil from lipstick.
But it was a great piece of art.
It's a great piece of art. It's a great story. She remembers it. I remember it. And,
That's what it is. Yeah, it's memories. Yeah.
And use it.
Yeah.
Back to Michelle's point, use
Embrace
it.
it, yeah.
Like, use it. I always encourage people, use it. The worst
And
thing
use
that
it
will
against
happen.
them later, too.
Well, the worst thing that will happen to the table is
Yeah.
you have it refinished.
Yeah.
That is not the end of the world.
Yeah, live your life.
Live your life.
Don't
Let
put
them
it in
use
the-
it.
Let them
Teach
write
them
inside
to
the closet.
appreciate nice things because then they
Put your
will
jewelry in the
appreciate it.
safe. Wear it.
Indoor, outdoor fabric. There's so many things you can do with fabric. Coffee tables, make them round, make them soft. It's like there's so much you can do so that they can use your spaces. And at the end of the day, it's a sofa, it's a chair.
Yeah.
But it's a
okay.
memory. It's
Right,
life
it's
too.
okay. Use
Like
it.
life,
Like-
let life happen.
Don't design rooms that you can't use.
I
ever.
really do. I encourage the kids to color in the closet on the walls. I still have all my spice jars that my daughter in her handwriting wrote the spices, and you open the drawer and it has her handwriting from when she was just little. It's something.
But
that
everybody
will
loves a
capture
doorway
memory.
where you see the height
Yeah.
of the kids
yeah.
growing
Yeah.
up, and
Yeah.
that's the hardest thing to paint. I find like
Embrace
you're a
it.
decorator and somebody buys a house and you look, and you
You're
go,
like,
whoa,
oh, somebody's
there's
Yeah.
something like
Yep.
hard to do that.
Got it. Good advice. Last question. So we talked a lot about what you do for clients and some examples. So let's talk about your own personal house. What does your own personal style in your own home, what does that look like?
That's interesting. So I live in a center hall colonial, but I actually prefer modern, even though I live in a center hall colonial. So my house is a combination of the two. The first floor has a lot of color to it, so it's blues and silvers and some blacks, but it has traditional in it, but yet also has a lot of modern furniture in it. And then as you move upstairs, it becomes more of a hotel vibe. So my primary bedroom and suite is all black and white wallpaper on the ceiling. My daughter's room is very, very neutral, black and white bathrooms. Black and white bathrooms never go out of style. So I think for me, and we were talking about this, someone's home is a reflection of them. And so, my powder room on the first floor, the ceiling is, royal blue and has this crazy wallpaper on it because it's really, really fun and I enjoy it. And it's wallpaper. It's a low commitment. Like if I get tired of it, you take it down and put something else up. I have a room that's yellow. Lots of people don't like yellow, but my sunroom is yellow and I love yellow and I love it in the sunroom. So it's about having different spaces that go together and you do feel like there's a cohesion, but yet each space is very unique in my house. But I have to work with the architecture that I have and the lighting that I have. So in that sense, that's what my house looks like now.
Awesome. Cindy?
Well, I lived in a very big house in backcountry, and then when we sold that house, and kids were gone, we bought 3 little houses instead of 1 big house.
Yeah.
So I have a house on the water in Stamford, and it's reminds me of a Nantucket cottage, and I've taken all my sort of more rustic and collected pieces that are a little bit more casual in that house. It's all about the view. And after living in backcountry, I was in the woods, and all I ever wanted was to live on the water, and now I've ended up with 3 places on the water. So, it's an evolution in your lifestyle, and things are different. And then I have a place in Palm Beach, which I was so lucky because I bought it before COVID, when all the prices started going crazy down there. And it has, a 1,600-foot terrace right on the water.
How did you design the inside?
And it's really funny. I didn't want to compete with the ocean, so it's whites, beiges, tans, accents of green because there's some great palm trees around it, and great art, and very serene. It's sort of like it's not a girl apartment, but it's sort of my chick place because I go there and it feels like a wellness spa. It's like it makes me feel very content. And then we have a place in Greece. And my other half is Greek, and it's an apartment we can shut the door, but it's on the water, and it's got, you know, Greek pots that we've collected and collections of just textured pieces, and it feels very Greek. So I'm very lucky at the moment.
Yeah, beautiful. Michelle, what's inside of your house like?
So as lifestyle changes and as we evolve, our homes evolve, and I had a home on Campo. Remember when white modern farmhouses first came around with pop of color, and everything was deck white but with pops of color. And now as my kids are older, I procured some land in Weston last year, and I'm working with Laura Michaels and Chris Pagliaro on my own home now. It's a totally different stage. And it is, I would describe it as livable luxury, where I don't know why I do, but I have this aversion to knowing where the bathroom is when I walk into a home, because the floor plan is so generic and cookie cutter. And I really didn't want, it's so funny, people will ask me, is it a 3-bedroom, is it a 4-bedroom? I'm like, it's not about that, it's about the spaces. And I would say that the home that we're actively designing now, it's very zen, and it's an experience. And that's really how I would describe that. My home in every space is a true experience, like in a beautiful, calming, zen-like way, down to a soaking tub in my gem, which is paneled with mood lighting, right? It's livable luxury, which I do think is on point right now, that people are taking more time and investing in their homes because of COVID, and really enjoying their spaces.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Calla, what's inside of your home like?
Well, I moved back to Rowayton 2 years ago, and prior to that, I was living in a modern glass box in California. And then now I wanted to be in Rowayton near the beach, and so I'm in a much more traditional sort of captain-style house. And it was, I brought all of my modern mix of furniture and art, and I painted the floors white to kind of update the look of the interior and mixed it all in, and that's kind of the look.
So you went you said white?
Yeah, I had white floors in the original house, so when I moved in as a kind of a quick update, I painted all of the floors in my new house white, which I think also helps to kind of modernize a house that has more moldings and traditional elements.
Beautiful. Got it. That concludes all of my questions for the panelists. I want to say thank you again so much for doing this. It's not easy coming up here and speaking about all these different topics for as long as you guys have. You gave us a ton of knowledge here, a ton of information. You're some of the best, and we thank you again for your time. Ladies and gentlemen, please give them a round of applause. So we just wrapped up this luxury interior design panel here in Greenwich, Connecticut, in front of a packed house at this beautiful property at 230 Taconic Road in Greenwich, Connecticut, on the market for $9.75 million, listed by Shelly, Tretter, Lynch. I want to thank the incredible panelists who were here tonight. You guys absolutely crushed it. Cindy, Michelle, Calla, and Jeanne, you guys absolutely were amazing. Of course, this could not happen without our sponsors, so I want to thank them as well. I want to thank Klar Windows and Doors, Ornare, Shelly, Tretter, Lynch, Stage to Show, Vanish Media, Advanced Home Automation, Interstate Lumber, and Chris Pagliaro Architects. So whether you were here live or you missed the event, no problem. Check out the full recap on our YouTube channel. We are already planning our next event, so stay tuned for more updates on that. I'm Michael Ferraro with Compass Real Estate. Till next time.